So I've been getting more into Formula 1 recently, and I thought, why not try to make my own steering wheel? Okay, so here are the stuff I used to build the steering wheel. Cardboard, a tiny 4mm shaft, a ton of hot glue sticks, an Arduino Uno I stole from my brother, a potentiometer, and an empty correction tape I stole from my class. I actually already made a steering wheel back then. The problem is, I thought using styrofoam gears would be nice. Wrong. So I took the old shaft from the old wheel as well as the cardboard platforms and just used it for this new project. So we're gonna be using potentiometers to act as like a joystick input for the steering wheel. But the thing about potentiometers is that they only turn about 270 degrees. Then split the potentiometer into two halves and you see that it isn't great for a steering wheel. So I repurposed some correction tape gears to slow down the rotation and get a more realistic turn angle. To put it simply, the ratio between the input and output gears is 3.1 to 1. That means for every full rotation of the steering wheel, the potentiometer only rotates about 1/3 of that. This keeps the potentiometer from maxing out too quickly while still letting me turn the wheel more. Now for the Arduino setup and connection to the potentiometer, here. No, I just followed the tutorial from this guy. I'll put it in the description. I'm not a programmer, but basically the Arduino reads the potentiometer's position and then translates it into steering input. So here's me trying out the system for the first time. I only used the shaft to steer and it felt okay.
Okay. Got.
Then I hot glued more stuff to the shaft, even a makeshift steering wheel that was barely holding on. The input felt good though. And because the input shaft felt flimsy and weak, considering it was made out of top-tier industry-grade material, I had to add support structures below and around it. Here's more testing. I probably had way too much fun using it. So the steering input was good enough, so I had to make the steering wheel itself. I researched how big F1 steering wheels were and found out that it was about 270mm long, and so I put it into Microsoft Word and printed it out. Then I cut it. I hate cutting cardboard. That's one layer. Now do it 3 more times. Good job, Kevin. I hate you so much. Now the wheel had to be connected to the shaft, so I just made random stuff up. This connector was so flimsy, so I just replaced it with a bottle cap. Oh, turns out the wall is actually way too heavy for our industry-grade material to handle. Who could have predicted that? So I put even more support structures around the shaft. So here's me testing it with the actual Formula 1 wheel on. Turns out the shaft connection was so weak that the hot glue connection kind of drifted away, and I had to manually adjust it with a plier while testing it. Those tests were good enough, so I made a shell for it. And by shell, I mean I covered all the exposed parts with more cardboard and hot glue until it looked somewhat presentable. And at this point, the entire thing was more hot glue than actual structure. I also added a placement for a small weight at the bottom of the shell so it wouldn't move as much while I was playing. I spent a lot of time just driving around with it. Was it perfect? No. Was it functional? Of course, but honestly, I kind of love it. I would rather use this than use my phone as a gyro controller and be limited to only 90 degrees of rotation. I'll probably improve the design soon using bearings and just overall try a better and cleaner build. So yeah, that's the wheel. It's janky, it's fragile, it has no force feedback, but it works. And that's good enough for me now. So that's the video. If you ended up here or watched a full video, well, thank you for that. And if you could, consider subscribing and liking the video. It's gonna help me out. Thank you.